Hey everyone, just popping on because I wanted to let you all know that I came down with COVID finally yesterday. But as you can see today, I'm doing pretty good. Yesterday knocked me flat out. I thought about popping on, but there was like no way I could because had so many body aches. I had a fever of 101 and yeah, it was like my back, which was essentially my kidneys, my ears. The headache is intense, really intense headache, and loss of smell and taste. So I got it all yesterday. It came on the night before. I felt it coming on, and so I got into an epsom salt bath to help because I could feel it starting to settle into my glands. I could feel my headache coming on. I could feel the body aches coming on. And then that next morning, yesterday morning, I woke up and it was like full-fledged everything. So anyway, and also yesterday, I mean, mind you, it was like a flu that I've had flus like that in the past. So I just kind of want to put it in perspective. It's not unlike anything I've ever had before. It was intense and it was a fever and it was body aches, but it wasn't anything I hadn't experienced before. Was it pleasant? Absolutely not. Did I think I was gonna make it through? Sometimes I didn't, especially when I was breastfeeding Kiri and like every 2 hours or 3 hours and just being like, oh my gosh, so exhausted and drained. And all night long. So did I think it was gonna end? No, but it did. Actually late last night, I had really intense pain in all of my organs. Actually my spleen, which is just like, sorry, I'll move these herbs, just right here, like under that left rib cage, it was super tight. And your spleen has a lot to do with your immune system and with the white blood cells and all of that. And also, so my kidneys, my spleen, and then in the middle of the night, I woke up for a feeding with Kiri and I got so like nauseous, like I felt like I was gonna throw up. All of my organs were just cringing. I had Danny go down and get me a coconut water because I felt like that dehydrated nausea kind of feeling. And it was really cold coconut water and it felt so good. And then I was able to go back to sleep, and I think that was my body finally like purging it all out. And that's something to keep in mind too while you go through stuff like this. You know, fevers, body aches, chills. These are, oh yeah, I had chills yesterday. These are all indications that, well, the body aches and all of that is that whatever is in the body is getting moved around to get moved out. So if you have body aches, that's showing that your lymph system is actually starting to clear out whatever it is that's in there. And whatever is in there is pretty nasty stuff. So it's gonna hurt wherever it goes. So it causes this, that's why sometimes you get that like tenderness just to the touch, to the skin, like everything is painful. That's what that is. And then the headache, that's like this massive rush of heat rising to the head from the liver, according to Chinese medicine, and that makes a lot of sense. And what I'm going to talk a little bit about today is the blood connection, because I believe that's what I experienced most, was this blood connection that they're talking so much about, which is why it's been leading to things like heart attacks and strokes with blood clots, because it's dislodging plaques within the veins and the arteries and things like that. They're realizing there's such a blood component as much as there is a lung component. And it's interesting because for me, I didn't have anything in the lungs. I still don't. What you probably hear in my voice is more this kind of nose and like just feeling like swollen glands, but my lungs are totally fine. And that might be because I've been doing this protocol now for 2 weeks to support my lungs since Danny got it. So that might be why it just didn't drop. Yesterday I felt like there was some inklings that it could drop into my lungs, but it just hasn't. And at this point, when Danny went through it last week, he was coughing, and I'm not. So what I'm really experiencing is this blood component. And the reason I have these herbs in front of me here is because these are some things that you can do. Of course, none of this is ever to be taken as medical advice. All of this is food advice. But one of the best herbs for helping to thin the blood is parsley, and that's the beautiful thing about herbs and plants in general, is it does it in a very safe manner, something that works with the synergy of your body. And one of the things, just to, I'm kind of backtracking here, with the headaches and the fever and all of that, you know, Cara and I've said this before in other episodes about health and immunity and sickness and disease. If you're going through something, you want to do the best that you can and not take any over-the-counter medication in terms of trying to get rid of your headache or trying to lower your fever. Doing that actually suppresses your symptoms, which then drives the disease or the virus or whatever it is deeper into the body, because your body's reacting in this way to fight off what's coming in. So if you suppress that and take that away, now the body's more vulnerable, and that is going to go deeper into the body. And now, instead of fighting it for a couple of days, you're going to be extending it to multiple days, to a week, 2 weeks, depending, right? So what I wanted to do, and what Danny did as well, is we just, you know, grit it and got through it. And it was a really, really tough day, really painful headache, really painful body aches. You know, again, I had the fever of 101, but I knew I had to get through it naturally, because if I were to have taken something to get rid of any of it, I would still be out today. But the fact that we were able to turn it around within 24 hours, maybe 36 hours, is a lot to do. And I know this is our personal experience, but it's a lot to do with the fact that we got through it and supported ourselves as naturally as possible and didn't get in the way of our body. We know our bodies are strong, so we let our bodies do the work. That's something that's very empowering and to keep in mind. So going back to the parsley, parsley naturally helps, it's a diuretic, right? So what that also tells you is it's gonna flush through the kidneys, which I really needed yesterday, and even today. So it's gonna help also thin out the blood. So the kidneys are the water element of the body. And when you think of the water of the body, that is the blood, right? So we wanna bring in stuff like parsley to help with that. Also, when you're fighting any sickness, right, like I was saying before, that first initial 2 or 3 days needs to be tons and tons of liquid, because we're supporting that water element of the body. The lymph system is also part of that water element of the body, right? That lymph that's moving the toxins and things around in the body to your lymph nodes to get picked up by the blood, to get that taken to the liver, to get filtered out of the body. So that's the whole system. So we want to really support the water system of the body. Parsley is great at that. Seaweed is another one that's really good at with that. Then the next component of how this is so blood related is that, and how it's affecting the heart. So of course they're seeing that, you know, if you have any plaques within the veins, those can get dislodged, you know, causing heart attacks, blockages, and stroke. But I said this so many times before, any heart conditions have actually nothing to do with the heart itself. The heart is an innocent bystander. It's a pump that is pumping the blood. The heart is not responsible for the blood. The liver is responsible for the quality in terms of cleaning the blood, filtering the blood, and the kidneys are responsible for building the blood. So this is how these systems are created. I had so much kidney pain. I still have a little bit. It's like, you give me a massage back there, that would feel really great. You can also probably see it in my eyes. So in Chinese medicine, this area right here is the kidneys, and in Oriental medicine in general. So you also see that darkness there. So the darkness is showing blood stagnation. So I have, which I tend towards in general, that's my natural composition. I tend to be colder, depleted, more of a kidney condition. I'm not someone who's hot and red and, you know, that. I'm more cold and stuff. So that's from my kidneys being depleted. But anyway, this dark circle, that's what that is. So a bit of blood stagnation. So it was really important for me to keep up fluids while I was laying down as much as possible and resting, because kidneys need a lot of rest. They're where your vital life energy lives. So that's being drained because this is taking up a lot of energy. So you really feel it. So anyway, supporting the kidneys and the liver is where it's really important. So you can help with blood with the parsley, and then cilantro, what it's really good for is supporting the liver in a very similar way. It really helps the liver detoxify. And like we said before, it pulls out toxins from the body, which the liver needs a lot of help with, especially when it's clearing the blood, when it's clearing the blood of viruses and all of that stuff. So these are simple herbs to have on hand. You can make them into little pestos or, you know, anything like that. Top anything, like top a soup with it, you know, top your congee with it. We did tons of chopped up parsley and red onion on top of the congee last night. Excuse me, because red onion is also really great for the heart, right? It clears heart energy, and this is from the energetic standpoint more so than just the physical. So it's going to clear that energy, because we don't want stuck energy. When there's stuck energy, that's when things get clogged up and stop. So we want to keep the energy energetically flowing, and red onion does that really well. So that's what I put on top of my congee with the cilantro. So get these, and then also what you can do if heart condition, blood, things like that is something that you're concerned about, you can make parsley tea. Just like we've been making the thyme tea and all of that, you just put the parsley in hot water and let it steep for like 15 or maybe 30 minutes if you want, but if you're using fresh, you know, like 15 minutes is good. Then that's a liquid form of this, and just eat a ton of it. And the gazpacho is really good. So that's another thing as well, is if you have heart condition or are concerned about the blood or feeling like I was feeling, I actually kind of needed, even though I had lots of broths and soups and some congee, because I needed a little bit more energy since I'm breastfeeding, the gazpacho is really good for the blood, because the gazpacho is going to bring or clear the liver to clear the blood of the virus and potentially of anything else. If I happen to have thicker blood, which I don't believe I do, because I eat pretty clean, that would help a little bit with that. Again, this isn't medical advice, it's food advice, but I also put beets in my gazpacho. So the red gazpacho that I made last week, I put beets in there, and beets help with the kidney element, and they help clarify the blood as well. They look like the heart because they have to do with blood, but again, we're supporting the kidney and the liver to support the heart. Okay, so that was a lot, but anyway, wanted to just get on real quick, let you guys know how I'm doing. Day 2 of COVID, I'm completely on the mend. I'm like 80%, you can hear it. I don't have taste or smell, but I should be even better tomorrow. Okay, see you guys later.